Oh, sorry, buddy. We got a video to do here, but say hi to everyone on YouTube. So today's story is going to be about me spending a lot of money on a legendary Hambini bottom bracket. And I'm going to be comparing it to this lovely piece of plastic known as a Shimano Dura-Ace bottom bracket. And the standard is BB86. This one was about 50 bucks. This one with the no-go gauge was almost 400 Canadian shipped. You'd swear Hambini's hairdresser would have personally delivered it. Now, this is not going to be a straight install video, unfortunately, because, as most men will tell you, during our lives, we tend to have troubles with tight holes. So I got to do some work with this. The one thing I will tell you is my transaction with Hambini for the money was fantastic. And his directions, as far as how to deal with a tight hole, are also fantastic. Don't tell Winspace I've done this, though. Of course, being a bargain hunter, I went with the OEM one, which was a frugal 170 pounds without shipping and or taxes, rather than going for the racing one, which is apparently lighter and more fabulous. This is the moment of truth. So let's do the Shimano bottom bracket first. 55 grams. Now, Hambini, unfortunately, is like me, a little portly at 98 grams. And if you're curious, the go-no-go gauge weighs 72 grams. It's an uncomfortable subject. But when it comes to tight holes, this one was about 0.2 to 0.3 millimeters too tight than the 41 millimeters it should have been. So according to Hambini's directions, you put this in using your standard hose clamp. But guess what? That doesn't work. I just basically turned it and pushed it in with my hand. Then you carefully rotate it around. Then you use the no-go gauge as you go to make sure that you're not going to remove too much material. I'm just going to do this by hand. I'm not going to use the drill. So I use this contraption. I would strongly recommend not using a drill for this. The Shimano is installed now and ready for the spin test. With this bottom bracket meeting the Hambini Go spec with the Shimano installed in, it's pretty darn good. Almost effortless. I will mention though, I've got the preload on the non-drive side absolutely minimal, but there's no play in the crank. So I'd say for 50 bucks, this is not too bad. Now let's see what the Hambini does in here. I'm going to admire this thing once more before I insert it in. I got to tell you, I've never seen such a smooth piece of metal in my life. You don't have to watch me install this thing, but Hambini fans will find this ironic, but I'm actually going to use a BB Infinite tool on the non-drive side to help put this thing in. If I go around the edges with the feeler gauge, it doesn't go in anywhere, even at the very thinnest I can find. So congratulations, Winspace, on facing the front of your bottom bracket correctly. It's the moment of truth. So installed as per all the recommendations and everything. Here is the result. Yeah. Is there a comparison here? Absolutely none. This is my very dirty gravel bike that 3 years ago I put a BB Infinite in because I was having, let's call it, minor bearing issues where I'd blow one, let's say, every 3 to 4 months and have to replace it. And since then, I've done exactly no work on this. You can exactly see how much cleaning I've done. And I've ridden this bike quite extensively, let's say twice a week, in some pretty dusty conditions and otherwise through the winter in wet conditions here. This is the result. So what I'm trying to point out to you is everyone's going to be all excited about Hambini, but it's more this module concept that works so well. My experience with modules started with about a 2014 Cervelo rim brake R5. And let me tell you, this bottom bracket was nasty. But once I put in that BB Infinite, it was fantastic. Then I ended up having to warranty the frame for another issue, and I couldn't get the bottom bracket out. Then my buddy Gary comes in. I sent BB Infinite an email. He phones me back right away. We have a great conversation, and he sends me a free module, although it's not his fault that Cervelo had such a messed up bottom bracket. One of the worst bikes possibly ever engineered was the 2016 3T Exploro. And to make matters worse, the bottom bracket was a dog park dumpster fire. I had to screw in Wheels Manufacturing. We all know Wheels Manufacturing makes some pretty great stuff. But I was chewing through a bearing, let's say, once every month. Put in a BB Infinite, exactly no issues. Then let's go to the taint smasher, as I call it, the first generation Cervelo R5 disc. It also had a Wheels Manufacturing screw-in type BB. There wasn't a lot of issues, but that crank did not turn very smoothly. Once again, BB Infinite to the rescue, and everything was fantastic. Based on my experiences of 3 bikes with absolutely underperforming screw-in BBs, what Hambini says is correct, that these bottom bracket systems, because of their design, can flex and move around the threads. I don't think there's any doubt here who's won this battle. It's Hambini. Although the product is bloody expensive. If you want to pay that, that's up to you. But this product performs exactly as advertised and intended. I usually end the videos with ride hard, because obviously I've been doing a lot of hard riding recently. I want to tell you about what I'm planning to do. Every 2 to 3 weeks, let's say, I'll put out a video on my cycling experiences, particularly buying stuff, because I love stuff. If you like my videos, don't be shy. If you want to subscribe, please do. And put a comment down below if you have any questions for me. I'll try to reply to you. Ride hard.